Hey guys, Michelle here. I bring you lots of MBLEx resources here on YouTube and on my website. So make sure and check out in the link in the description below and also in the pinned comments, all the resources that I have for you. But today I wanted to keep things a little bit more candid, talking about, I get lots of comments in the videos and I get lots of emails from massage students or people who are coming back to massage therapy after they've been away from massage school for a while. And the biggest issue that they have is that they are so nervous that they're afraid that they're going to mess up on the exam. They feel unprepared and they're wondering, what else can I do? What else can I do to get ready? And I mean, aside from the folks that have been out of the loop of massage therapy, haven't gone to school for a few years or longer, or people who have even been practicing in a state that doesn't require the massage and bodywork licensing exam, and they have to relearn all of that kinesiology, anatomy and physiology, pathologies, they have to relearn all of that so that they can be ready to answer the questions. You know the stuff. Even if you like relearn it and it's all fresh in your mind, you're still gonna be anxious, but you know the stuff. The thing is that you're just so nervous. So I wanna talk to you about that. And I want you to know that you're not alone. Definitely feeling anxious. Like I just said, that's the top thing that people, it's not so much about, I need to understand the differences between these kinds of muscle contractions, or I don't understand how to do range of motion testing appropriately, or I don't understand how digestion works. Those aren't really the questions that I'm getting. The comments and questions that I'm getting more than anything else is, how can I feel confident? Can you help me to feel confident? And I can't. I can't make you feel confident, but I can give you some suggestions on how to prepare for the exam so that when you get in there, you're like, okay, this isn't so bad. I've prepared myself for it. The truth is that the test isn't going to give you any kind of positive feedback. Like when you're doing the practicing on, for example, on the AMTA app, you get, depending on how you set it so that you can do 10 at a time or something like that, you get your answers right away. For the most part, you're gonna get your answers right away about whether or not you got it right. So your confidence is like kind of weird, because if you miss a question, you're like, and then also if you get a question right, then you feel good and that gives you confidence to keep going. But when you're in the exam, that's the most disheartening thing, is that you're answering questions and instead of getting a piece of positive feedback, good job, you got it right, or you were really close, or anything like that, you're just gonna get a harder question. So you're in there and it's just getting harder and harder. Well, that's a good sign that the questions are getting harder and harder, because the program that does the testing, Pearson, the company that sets up the exam, they make the questions get harder and harder. The computer adapts to that in each topic that you're answering questions correctly, so that each question is worth more points. So if it's really easy, straightforward question, then you are going to get fewer points. But the more complicated and convoluted the question gets, the more points it's worth. So it is a good sign if you're leveling up to the point where you're getting harder questions. But it's disheartening because you're like, I don't know whether or not I'm getting these right. I don't know whether or not I'm going to pass. For me, when I was in the exam, I had no idea whether or not I was passing, because there were a few questions that were like, oh, that's easy. Like, what is the definition of an S corp versus a C corp for corporations? So those were like easy. Or how do you file your taxes appropriately? Those are really easy. But then when the questions got more and more complicated regarding client assessment, that's when I was like, oh, I froze up a couple of times. I had to catch my breath and had to readjust. 110 minutes and 100 questions is a lot. It's a lot for your nervous system. It's a long time. 110 minutes is almost 2 hours. And your brain, when you do over, 50 questions at a time, your brain is going to start turning into pudding. And that's the reality. Unless you've built stamina to be able to maintain your dopamine levels to get through that without any kind of positive feedback. So it's not so much about the content. I felt like I prepared really well for the exam. I took my exam while I still had 3 weeks left, and I was at the top of my class. I was getting A's in all the subjects, and I spent a lot of time studying. I watched a lot of videos. I did all the practice tests on the AMTA app, plus my school had its own set of 1,000 questions. So I practiced and practiced and practiced. Still, when I was in it, I didn't know whether or not I was passing. So it's not so much about whether or not you know the stuff as it is about keeping yourself from freezing up from anxiety and maintaining the stamina to be able to make your brain work without positive feedback and that dopamine rush that you get from positive feedback for almost 2 hours. So if you've got that dialed in, you're going to be in really good shape, even if you're kind of even so-so on the content. As I've explained in some of these videos where I go over some more challenging MBLEx questions, you can isolate what you think is probably the best answer, even if you're not totally 100% on it. You can isolate it just by picking apart what they want from the question and isolating out which answers are definitely not correct. But you can't think clearly if your mind is muddled with anxiety and fatigue. Stamina is a huge thing. What I suggest is conditioning yourself by practicing as much as possible, simulating the test environment. That's what I push all the time. Simulate it and regulate your nervous system. In the weeks leading up to your exam, I want to suggest that you try to get a hold of 100 questions. You're going to want more than that because you want to practice a bunch of times. So batches of 100 questions that are in the MBLEx style that you've never seen before, setting them up for yourself, giving yourself uninterrupted space for 110 minutes, and answering those questions, those 100 questions at a time, without getting the positive feedback of knowing whether or not you answered correctly. The more you practice doing this, the more your nervous system will think, this is something that I just do. This is easy for me. And it will reduce the likelihood that you're going to freeze up in the exam. And it's also training your nervous system to be accustomed to going without the rush of positive feedback for that length of time. So that is like over anything else, over studying until you're like had a total meltdown. Over anything else, you should be practicing taking questions in a timed frame without getting positive feedback. That's the biggest thing. Number 2, like I said, was regulating your nervous system so that your stress level is down, so that it's like a cap that you get to and it won't go below it if you've been at a high stress level for a while. So the more anxious and stressed that you are about the exam going up to it, the easier it'll be for you to get overwhelmed when you are in the actual exam. So getting lots of rest, eating healthy foods, maybe getting your own massages. These are really important things for you to do for yourself to have your nervous system in a down leveled space when you show up. So for me, when I went to go take my exam, I didn't have a lot of time because I was still in massage school. I was working and I was studying. But I knew that there was a point where I just wasn't going to get any more information in my mind. So the last 2 days before my exam, I didn't study. I didn't do any practice tests. The morning of my exam, all I did was eat good food, maybe watch a movie, get my mind off of it, And then I just said, okay, if I'm going to pass, I'm going to pass. And if I'm not, I'm not. There's no more information for me to get in my brain. And that helped me to be able to have a clear mind. It wasn't muddled with a bunch of like random information. It helped me to have a clear mind. So I was authentically presenting my knowledge base to the exam, because that's the point of the exam, is to be you, be yourself with everything that you've learned, and to be able to just relate with the questions that are being asked. Not just pump out memorized short-term memory information. So I hope that this information has been helpful to you guys in helping to relieve your anxiety. Maybe it hasn't, because I'm like, well, it is going to be hard. It's true. It's even for me. It was a very challenging exam. But you're going to increase your likelihood of passing if you can regulate that anxiety. So just know that there's no way around it. It's going to be hard. Do your best studying. Practice and practice and practice so your nervous system is regulated to be ready for those kinds of questions. And then just show up and bring your best self to the exam. The worst thing that can happen is that you have to take it again. So what? Take it again. Lots of people have done it, and then they pass because they know what to expect. It's not the end of the world. Life goes on. So yeah, I do have a PDF of I have one 100 question practice test that's free. And then I have a packet of 10 more or 9 more. It's a package of the first one plus 9 more that is for sale. You can practice those. So it's like PDF form, so you can just pull it up on your computer, or you can print it if you prefer to work that way, so that you can practice 100 questions at a time. The answer's not given to you until the end, so then you can go over it and correct your answers. And there's a little answer key at the end, so you can circle which ones that you got incorrect, and you'll know what areas you need to spend more time studying. So if you get a hold of that packet, that could be really helpful to you. Like I said, in the link in the description below, and on my website, it's there. But also there's Merlino's MBLEx Prep app is available to you to practice some questions, but you'll have to purchase I guess it's like a second level on his app if you want to be able to do 100 questions at a time. And the same thing with the AMT app, the AMTA app. You'll have to pay for that if you want to do 100 questions at a time in that format, if it's easier for you to access that information or access the exam on your app. But for some people, it's a lot easier to just be able to sit down with a pen and paper and do it without having the distractions of being on their phone. Okay, so I will see you guys in the next video. I do want to say I'm taking a little break for a couple weeks so that I can organize my anatomy and physiology course, and I'm taking a craniosacral therapy workshop, and I just need some room to breathe over the holidays. So best of holidays to you guys. I will see you at the first of the year with some fresh content. Getting started with kinesiology. That'll be great. See you then.